Great. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Caitlin Mandel, and I am the Food Access and Equity Program Manager for the Rhode Island Food Policy Council. If you could introduce yourselves, your name and your title and affiliation in the chat, that would be wonderful. And before we begin, I'd like to thank our core partners, the Rhode Island Department of Health and our State's Director of Food Strategy, Julie Stelmazik, for all their help supporting the Hunger Elimination Task Force and this meeting. So here's our agenda for today. Each quarterly meeting of the Hunger Elimination Task Force has a theme that helps us dig deeper into the different aspects of food insecurity in Rhode Island. And today we're focused on the unique needs and challenges facing older adults in our state. So I'm so pleased to welcome Maria Cimini, who was recently appointed to serve as the Director of Office of Healthy Aging, to kick us off. So Maria, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Good afternoon, everyone. I know so many of you already because my career has been so focused on nutrition and food and economic security. But as Caitlin said, I've recently been appointed Director of the Office of Healthy Aging. Hopefully it'll be actually official in just about 2 hours and 15 minutes. But in anticipation of a positive result in the Senate this afternoon, I'm thrilled to welcome you all to this meeting of the Hunger Elimination Task Force. It is Older Americans Month, so this is a wonderful time to have this conversation. As we know, good nutrition, access to food is important across the life cycle. I know many of you from my years doing SNAP outreach. And in Rhode Island, as of last month, there were just about 31,000 Rhode Islanders who meet the definition of senior for the SNAP program, that's age 60 or older, individuals who are purchasing food with SNAP benefits through that federal program. And we are working at the Department of Human Services to increase access for those adults. Through the Office of Healthy Aging, I'm excited to share too that we continue that work with food access. So here at Healthy Aging, we work with our great partners and Meals on Wheels, providing delivered meals to just about 2,400 Rhode Islanders, and with our Senior Center and Congregate Meal Partners across the state to about 5,000 participants over the course of federal fiscal year 21 and nearly 375,000 meals. And with our partners at the Rhode Island Community Food Bank, the administration of the Commodities Food Program, bringing food to older adults who are at home. So our federal government, through the Food Nutrition Service, has about 14 nutrition assistance programs that are administered in Rhode Island through several state agencies. I'm excited that the Office of Healthy Aging focuses their attention on older Rhode Islanders, which we define as 55. And will continue to serve the nutrition needs of those older Rhode Islanders and their families and members of the community. So thank you for having this conversation today, for ensuring that they are being thought of as this life cycle work of nutrition assistance. And I'm excited to learn from all of you over the next hours. Thank you, Caitlin, for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maria. So the goal of the Hunger Elimination Task Force is to reduce hunger and increase access to healthy, culturally appropriate food for all Rhode Island residents. The task force was initiated in 2017 by Governor Raimondo as part of a newly launched statewide food strategy. The original working group convened to develop recommendations and action items to reduce food insecurity levels to below 10%. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, as food insecurity rates were climbing to more than 18%, the Rhode Island Food Policy Council began to host the task force in partnership with the Rhode Island Department of Health and the Director of Food Strategy, who's based at Rhode Island Commerce. And these quarterly meetings are open to any Rhode Island food system stakeholder who supports this mission. Together, we learn about innovative community-based solutions to pressing food systems issues in our state and work together to lift up new ideas and solutions. In addition to the quarterly meetings, the task force hosts working groups focused on key issues identified from the task force members, such as improving SNAP and WIC utilization, getting more local food into emergency food supply system. This is the current list of working groups, and they're voluntary, and there's no long-term commitment to join. If you'd like to get invited to any of these working groups, just send me an email. I'd be happy to add you to the invite list. And we're excited to announce that this month we'll be launching the Rhode Island Food Access Bulletin. that will provide updates, monthly updates on all the great work that task force members are doing around the state. We have 2 more meetings left this year. In July, we'll learn about innovative partnerships in healthcare in our state and how they support nutrition access. And our final Q4 meeting is a chance to provide an update on key indicators of food insecurity in Rhode Island and identify key themes and emergent issues that we can tackle and discuss in 2023. So my final announcement is that the Rhode Island Food Policy Council just launched their stakeholder survey. Your opinion really matters. Anybody who buys, eats, grows, processes, distributes, recycles food here is a stakeholder, and we would love you to fill out this survey. It really helps guide the Food Policy Council's work on how we can build a just and resilient food system for everybody in Rhode Island. So now I'm so pleased to introduce our panelists today. Joan Kwiatkowski is the Chief Executive Officer of PACE RI, an organization founded in 2005 to help local elders live safely at home, stay out of the hospital and nursing homes, and reduce strain for their caregivers. Joan will be discussing PACE's nutrition services that they provide to their clients. Our second panelist is Christopher Ruckel, an agricultural marketing specialist with the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. Chris has managed the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, and this year, in partnership with Farm Fresh Rhode Island and the Office of Healthy Aging, this program will serve an estimated 12,800 boxes of fresh produce to eligible seniors around the state. And we also have Courtney Poisson and Katie Blaze from the Bristol Health Equity Zone. Courtney is the owner and chef of the Common Pub and CP's Catering in downtown Bristol. Katie is the Food and Nutrition Working Group champion and manager of the Farmers Market at Mount Hope Farm. Together, they produce an online cooking demo class once a month where attendees can learn how to prepare delicious, healthy meals with a local chef. And our panel is hosted by Megan Grady, who's the Executive Director of Meals on Wheels Rhode Island and a member of the Rhode Island Food Policy Council. Meg became Executive Director of Meals on Wheels Rhode Island in 2019, and she guided the organization through the pandemic. And this summer, Meals on Wheels Rhode Island will deliver its 20 millionth meal. Meg, thank you again for hosting our panel today, and we can get started whenever you are ready.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I just ended up getting a ton of noise interruption. I apologize for this. So I am quickly moving away from whatever the drill saw hammer thing is. All right, great. Well, we have about 30 minutes of panel today. We have a few questions that we're going to run through. And what I think we'll do is start with Joan, move to Chris, and then the Bristol Health Equity Zone team to respond to the first question. And that is, what does your program do in a nutshell, and how do people learn about you?
So thank you, Megan. It's a pleasure to be here and to see everyone today. So our program is a federally sponsored health plan that provides both medical care and social supports to frail older adults who would otherwise live in nursing homes. We are a nonprofit that provides care to folks throughout the state of Rhode Island. And that includes everything from medical care to transportation to social supports, et cetera. So that's what our program does. And now it includes a food program.
Great. And how do people learn about your organization?
Most folks are referred to us through either a physician, a resident service coordinator from housing, or frankly, from other folks that are enrolled in the program. Word of mouth is a pretty dominant way that individuals find us.
Thank you, Joan. You do great work.
Thank
Curtis,
you.
let's hear from you a little bit about your program in a nutshell, and how do people learn about you?
Yeah, thanks, Megan. Excited for the opportunity to be here. So the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, in a nutshell, provides low-income seniors with access to local nutrition, which comes in the forms of fresh fruits and vegetables grown by a local neighborhood Rhode Island farmer. And that's one of the best parts, and honestly, one of my favorites is the ability to connect with the seniors with the farmers. And one of the ways that, besides for the regular relationship that seniors might have with their local farmer, that you can find out more about the program is either going to our website, talking to either your local senior center or local senior communities, and also plenty of our other partners out there that have knowledge of the program and throughout the state where seniors can access their fresh fruits and vegetables.
Wonderful, Curtis. We love fresh fruits and vegetables around this group. Let's move to our friends from the Bristol Health Equity Zone. Tell us about your program. How do people learn about it?
Kate, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So the Bristol Health Equity Zone, people learn about it through outreach. So we do a lot of different outreach at senior centers around Bristol and around town. And then a lot of people learn about the specific program that Courtney and I do through Facebook. I don't know if you want to add anything, Courtney. Feel free to jump in.
So I just think our program gives like just different innovative approaches on being able to live and eat in a healthy manner. The different recipes that we do every month just kind of makes it a little easier when someone's putting it right in front of you. So we equip them with all the ingredients and the recipes, calorie intakes, different things like that. So I just think that that's what our goal is and the initiative of Bristol Health Equity Zone.
That's excellent. Thank you both. We are going to take a minute to discuss challenges that you face in serving older adults. There are many. Let's maybe focus on a top challenge, something that you're currently wrestling with. And so if you could talk about the challenge and how you've addressed it, I think that would be informative to the group. So Curtis, this time let's start with you, and then we'll move to the Bristol team and wrap up with Joan.
Awesome. So I would say the number one challenge that we tend to face with the risk of answering the question with a little bit is accessibility in and of itself is the number one challenge. You know, providing thousands of Rhode Island seniors who struggle with food insecurity with a direct route to receive the nutrition that they so desperately need is the number one challenge. In the past couple of years, we've been through the pandemic, and we've seen using the coupons program how that could be even more challenging in terms of getting seniors to their local farmers market, especially when considering things like transportation and direct access to local senior centers. And so what we ended up doing to help address some of this is we switched over to a produce box program. And through this program, we're able to deliver boxes of produce directly to the communities through senior centers, in low-income senior housing, and also in collaboration with our partners at West Bay directly to homebound seniors. So this allows a wider range of seniors to be reached and provided direct at their doorstep. Another great flexibility that we've added to the Senior Farmers Market program is the use of a proxy. And this allows seniors to select an individual to be able to go sign up and pick up produce boxes from their local distribution spot. And together with those two things, we hope to see this year in our first big program, full scale for the produce box, more nutritious fresh fruits and vegetables given to seniors than ever before in the program, and more money getting into the farmers' hands.
Christopher, that's wonderful. And I want to apologize for calling you Curtis, which is a great name, but not yours. So
That is
moving
okay.
over to our colleagues from the Bristol Health Equity Zone, if you could talk about a challenge and what you're doing to overcome that challenge.
So I would say that one of our biggest challenges right now kind of hit us because of the pandemic. When we first started the cooking demonstrations, they were on site at our local, either Franklin Court, Benjamin Church, assisted livings, different things like that. So we were on site, which made it very easy for them to access us. Since the pandemic, we haven't been able to do on-site cooking demonstrations. We've been actually doing them virtually. which has been a catch-22 because we are reaching probably thousands more people than what we were before. So it has been good in a way, but it does make it really tough for our seniors to get into that. A lot of our seniors do not have Facebook or maybe means to get to the computer to actually watch a demo. So that's been a little tough. We are hopefully going to maybe get back to the in-person demos one day. But for right now, what I'm doing and us as a whole to kind of overcome that a bit is I still go to Franklin Court every Friday. So what we do through our restaurant is we offer them cost-efficient, healthy meals that at least once a week, they're getting those meals at a lower cost, and we're encouraging healthy options for them. So we do that every Friday through Franklin Court and offer delivery services with Benjamin Church as well. So that's in hopes we'll get back to some live demos soon, and that'll make it a lot easier for them to access.
Wonderful. Katie, anything to add to Courtney's comments?
No, I just think that that is a big part of it. So, I mean, Courtney does all of the cooking side of it, and I really kind of handle the back end and the coordination. And I do think it's probably the most popular program that the Bristol has offers. And it's great to see so many new people. So they comment on the Facebook post, and that's how they're able to get. We have like a limited amount of ingredients each month. So I think it's great that we've been able to widen our reach, but I do feel like we have kind of moved away from a lot of the people who would come to the in-person ones that were in the senior centers. And even sometimes we have people who might message us on Facebook, but they don't have a way to come to pick up the ingredients. So I think that maybe if we can figure out how to do, like, I think keeping the virtual ones is great, but having that in person to really connect more with the seniors would be something that we would want to do and that we should be doing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Katie. And Joan, let's hear from you about a challenge that you might be facing and what you're doing to overcome that challenge.
Sure. So I think it's very similar to what the other individuals on the panel noted, which is access. We too have a very high risk population of individuals, many of whom were homebound because of their medical conditions. And so accessing them and making sure that they had their medications, their food, that they were safe, that they were not at risk of losing their housing because of events that occurred during the pandemic. Like, we saw all of that. We service folks throughout the state. We have 4 physical locations: Woonsocket, Westerly, Newport, and East Providence. And we are able to bring meals to our Woonsocket and East Providence locations, and we'll be purchasing a solar paneled vehicle to bring food down to our Westerly and Newport locations. But we also deliver meals to the folks themselves. And Megan, your program has been really a lifesaver in terms of a partnership with our folks. But we do have individuals who just will not come out yet, right? They still feel like COVID is a huge threat. And so we are able to provide home-based services. So our physicians go out to people's homes, our social workers go out to people's homes. So we are able to sort of combat that isolation and the resistance to come out and access services by having our staff go into people's homes and provide care, and then also use our vans and vehicles for delivery, similar to what the other folks are doing. So it's definitely been, every week we notice an uptick in engagement. A few more people want to come in, a few more people reach out. We've also given out what are called grand pads, which are essentially laptops that we give out to some of our higher functioning folks. And they are on a support group together with one of our social workers, so that those are individuals who by and large really struggle with depression or isolation. And so that's been a real helpful tool as well. And they will do things like remind each other to eat or remind each other to take their medications. They kind of look out for each other. So we've tried to be innovative with regards to the various interventions to lure people back out and make sure they get access to what supports they need.
Thank you, Joan. And it's great to hear themes about flexibility, resiliency, and innovation as you all continue to do your work in this challenging pandemic environment. We're going to move away from challenges for a minute and have a little bit of fun. Some people like to call this the magic wand question, what do you need most? If you had a magic wand and it would help you overcome challenges, better serve your the seniors that you're serving, you know, or just eliminate hunger, like what are those resources that you need?
I feel like would be great, like what Joan was talking about, a car or some like almost to be able to take that food and thinking like of our program, like Courtney can have those bags and we just load them up in a car and we drop them off at the senior centers and we kind of drop them off to anybody who needed it. So I think a car would be great and just maybe unlimited funds to get really great food. And to, you know, because I think everybody deserves access to good food and healthy food and fun food. So I think having those funds and having the availability to get that good food to people would really be what I would love.
Do you want to go next, Chris?
Awesome. Yeah, I'll go next. Thank you. So obviously to mimic Katie's response, unlimited funds is top of the list, but to avoid the easy answer and the easy out, I also want to add, I would say volunteers at the senior locations is a big one, especially now that we switched to the produce boxes, having hands on the ground to be able to provide the seniors with their box is huge. And also additional locations around Rhode Island, senior locations around Rhode Island, including low-income senior housing complexes, places that would like to participate so that there's continuing to be a direct access for seniors to receive these boxes in their local neighborhoods and in their local communities. So I would say those two are my top.
I concur with my panelists about money. There's never enough, right? But I would say free Wi-Fi in public housing.
Yes.
I would say that, you know, a more impactful outreach initiative throughout the state. Of course, what happens is that the person who's in front of you today knows about your program, and they're going to tell maybe 2 or 3 other people, but that's where it ends. And then the next person who needs you doesn't know how to find you, actually. And so I definitely think that a more consistent and persistent outreach initiative is probably needed. But I would definitely go with Wi-Fi at this point, because I think that's almost a no-brainer in order for people to gain access as well as just stay connected.
Courtney, anything to add to the group?
I would just say, so for us, I would say being in a small town, it's tough for, like, we have a lot of extra food or maybe even a couple extra bags that people haven't come pick up. But there's nowhere for us to be able to bring that for people to actually utilize those things. So sometimes I just feel like things get wasted, where you know that there's people out there that need it and are in need of it. So I would say I would like more avenues to be able to give or donate extra food to places that would be able to accept that. It's a little sticky, especially with COVID, that a lot of places you can't just go and drop off food, which is understandable. But I think that if we had some type of, like we used to have a soup kitchen here, we no longer have the soup kitchen. Soup kitchen, we used to be able to kind of drop off prepared meals, different things like that, just so it wasn't going to waste. That would be my input on that.
I want to spend a moment just talking about partnership. And I'm going to go off the script I was provided slightly. And if everybody could just make sure they're on mute if they're not talking. Yeah, so let's talk about partnership. Can you give an example of a non-traditional partnership that you're leveraging for impact?
So this is Joan. I think when we started our food program, we did it for 2 reasons. One, we had contracts with other meal prep providers, and our seniors were not enjoying the food and therefore not eating the food. We also have a lot of folks that are failure to thrive, and so weight gain is actually really important. And so we needed to really change that up. They complained about the food. Older adults tend to complain about food, but we took that pretty seriously, and that's when we bought a new building, put in a kitchen, hired a chef, and really started rocking and rolling. But we also talked with a lot of you folks that are on the call today to really get insight as to what we should be thinking about so that we didn't do this blindly. We've done research in around food as medicine. And for our folks, because they're chronically ill and really, if you will, their body is pretty progressed with their conditions, food as medicine is not something that necessarily is going to make a huge impact for them. They're going to be healthier, but they're not going to be well. And so we really focused on cultural sensitivity, people, and we focused on close relationships. So the food bank, Meals on Wheels, Hope in Maine, they were all very helpful. We now have relationships with only local farmers who bring in our food. So you don't see an 18-wheeler bringing food into our program. And we also have a relationship with a compost farmer, and they really enjoy watching the compost farmer come. On those days, the seniors are pretty sort of curious about this whole thing, and they have lots of questions for him about, doesn't it smell, and how can he drive the truck? And it's actually quite charming to watch that exchange. And so we've sort of thought about this more in terms of our collaboration with our communities and those in the food world in our communities, and really are trying to expand those relationships. So the compost farmers one, some of the social service agencies that are in the food world is another example of partnerships that were new for us.
Anyone else have anything to add about non-traditional partnerships that they're leveraging?
Yeah, I'll add one. So the past 2 years, the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program has been partnering with the University of Rhode Island's SNAP Education Department. And we've been doing so that we can provide fresh recipes with the produce that they are receiving in their produce boxes. And this has worked out wonderful. It's allowed seniors to expand on their horizons of the recipes they try, the things that they're used to, branch out of their comfort zone a little bit, which is a big step and difficult to do sometimes in senior communities. And moving into the produce boxes, another great thing that we were able to utilize with URI SNAP Ed is to provide tips on how to store and keep and make the most efficient use of the produce that they're receiving in their produce boxes, and also allow them to branch out and maybe try a new hobby in canning and jarring and freezing. And so I'm excited for them to receive their produce boxes this year. And we have plenty of other great partners, including the Office of Healthy Aging and the nutrition program directors throughout Rhode Island senior resident coordinators. I know I'm missing a bunch more, but really without all of them, it wouldn't be possible. The programs and the impact that we see wouldn't be possible. So there's one non-traditional and then a couple others that are really pivotal to making a success.
I kind of feel like the partnership that we have with Courtney and the Bristol is a non-traditional but such a successful partnership. Courtney is running these 2 restaurants. She's a mom. She does this once a month, and I think that is huge. And I think it would be great. I think it's a great service. I'd love to see that across the state with like more HESs and more local organizations partnering with people in the community who have restaurants to get out to seniors, because I just think it's really great. It's a great way for seniors to know different ways to cook food and different things to do. And I think it's nice that it's somebody local in our community who's doing that. So I think that is, our program, not to brag, but I think it's great. And I think it's a good example of an untraditional partnership that really works.
Thank you, Katie, and congrats. It's great to hear about a non-traditional partnership that's really successful, and it's great to have Courtney at the table as well. So, you know, throughout the COVID environment, we've all learned to work differently, to think differently, you know, to do everything differently. And when I think about the phases of the pandemic, you know, there was the in the weeds, the response, the lockdown, there was the changing public health environment, there was the new normal. I'd love everyone to just kind of share something that's on their mind as you know, we continue to navigate whether it's the COVID environment, the post-COVID environment, or this new normal of serving older adults. So does anyone want to jump up with something that's on their mind there?
Hey Meg, it's Maria Ursini from, so I just hope, you know, by now we're, what, 2 years almost or whatnot into it, that the state comes up with a plan, that has a plan already at hand on how we're going to take care of our older population. We weren't ready for this. Just we're not ready. And so we need to definitely improve how we're going to reach those individuals and how we can get them, you know, a healthy meal. You know, I hope we don't go through what we went through starting in 2020, but we as a whole need a plan, and we need this communication going on so that we're not duplicating, you know, our services, because obviously, you know, when this took place, we all wore different hats on how we could get to those pockets of individuals.
Thank you, Maria. And you and Donna have done a wonderful job of serving older adults in Bristol through the Benjamin Church Senior Center. You know, I will add that our soon-to-be director of the Office of Healthy Aging is on today's call. And I believe that the Office of Healthy Aging is preparing for a strategic planning process. I have a lot of confidence in the experience and the leadership that Director Cimini will be bringing to the table. And so I think that those are great comments to share. And in that spirit, let's open it up to the group. Any comments on the pandemic environment, today's panel, any additional feedback or questions around how we can have innovative solutions to food access issues faced by older Rhode Islanders?
If you guys have a question, you can just raise your hand in the reaction button on your Zoom menu and we can call on you. Let's see if I can get everybody at one time.
It's okay to just raise your hand too.
Yeah.
As people are thinking about additional comments, I want to make sure that I thank all of our panelists today. You know, it's individuals that I think we all know of their important work, and that in some way, shape, or form, we all have an opportunity to work with them. But it's always really fun to be able to take a moment to pause and to learn a little bit more about people's work, and how after today's call, we can continue the conversation and continue to collaborate together. Any comments from the group? Let me see here. I don't see any here.
No, I think Joan's raising her hand.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make one comment, and that is, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the workforce issue for just a moment. And I dare say, I started my career in pediatrics, and I am now working with older adults, right? So kids are easy to attract people. They're adorable. Older adults are not as adorable. And they are sometimes difficult to work with. And so the workforce, they are still going to need people to help them feed. They are still going to need people to help them wash. They are still going to need help getting in and out of a van. And I just want to say that I think anything we can do as a united front to build a workforce that's in support and really worships older adults, that we do it, that we commit to that.
That's a great comment, Joan. It reminds me of the sentiment, you know, a society is, let me see, recognized by the way they treat their older adults and their youth, something along those lines. I think that's a great point that you raise. And I understand there's additional work being done at the General Assembly, you know, to ensure that the funding mechanisms are there to support the older adult workforce. It looks like Caitlin Kilsa has a comment. Caitlin, you have your hand up?
Hi, I do. I actually was going to make a comment very similar to Joan's. Prior to my current role with the Department of Health, I had been working for Meals on Wheels out of the greater New Bedford area in Massachusetts, so 11 surrounding towns. And during the pandemic, it just opened the need, or I mean, it just gravely exposed the need for exactly that, the additional services in order to confirm receipt of the meals, or the shopping, or those extra services that were required to maintain their health. Yes, we got the meals as available as we could through the caterer, and relied so heavily on the volunteers. And I think it just really reiterating Joan's point that the systems also have to be in place. And I think just building up resources that are attainable for older adults so that they can recognize how to get in touch with these services and so on.
Thank you, Caitlin, and welcome to Rhode Island. Your work in Rhode Island from New Bedford. I'm sure that, being affiliated with the Meals on Wheels program, you bring a lot of good experience to your work at Department of Health. Courtney, did you have your hand up?
Just like a little comment where one thing that we used to do all the time is we had the food on the move trucks that came to Bristol, and they would set up in kind of the heart of town 1 to 2 times a month, accepting SNAP benefits, loading their truck to the brim with fresh produce, beautiful fruits, vegetables, different things like that. It was not too expensive, very comparable to what they would get at a grocery store, but it was just very easily accessible to them. They used to do some right at Franklin Court. I would hope, and maybe this will reach somebody that can point me in the right direction. Not that it worked as well before, but now that we are into COVID and we're facing some struggles with people actually getting out into the community, that may be a beneficial thing for us to try to look into again, to try to be able to bring those food on the move trucks into some of these local senior centers that are having a hard time accessing these fresh fruits and vegetables and different things like that, especially in our smaller communities.
Hi, Courtney. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm sorry that there's some background noise. I'm actually at the Food on the Move markets right now. So I felt I would be remiss if I didn't say anything and jump in. We're playing a little phone tag here and market frenzy, but thank you for bringing it up and bringing awareness to the program. We actually exclusively target senior public housing sites. That's where our grant funding allows. And so we're currently in the urban core, but that's where our funding restricts us to, unfortunately, but always looking to grow that and always looking for new partnerships. So thank you. And I agree with you completely. And hence my commentary on transportation, because that's the number one thing folks say to us is that, you're bringing it right to me and I don't drive and I'm in a wheelchair and, so yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we have about 3 minutes left before we turn it back over to Caitlin and the team. Any additional comments for the good of the group?
I think Karen Griffith has her hand raised.
Hi, Karen. Go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to point out I'm the executive director of the East Bay Food Pantry. We are right in downtown Bristol, and we do have, a variety of food, including fruits and vegetables, available. Twice a week, when we're open for food distribution, we handed out close to 120,000 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables last year. And I just want to make sure people know that's available. We serve the whole Eastern Rhode Island, all the way from Newport through East Providence. Anybody's welcome to come to us. They can come to us every single week for fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as accessing our pantry several times a month. And if people aren't able to get to us, we do grocery delivery through our mobile pantry program. So I just want to make sure people know that's available for people in Eastern Rhode Island. So we're happy to help out wherever we can.
Thank you, Karen. Well, on that note, thank you all for participating in today's panel. Really wonderful panelists doing important work that is innovative for older adults statewide. I will turn it over to Caitlin, who will take it from here. Round of applause to everyone.
Good job, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you especially to our panelists. We really appreciate you being here and talking all about your great programs. And thank you to everybody else for the great questions. So we're actually going to go into breakout rooms. Allie is going to randomly assign us to breakout rooms where we have a facilitator who will lead you through different questions. And we'd love to hear these questions from your perspective and what your work is like when you work with older adults and what sort of resources you need. So we'll see you in the breakout rooms.
But welcome back, everyone.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for participating in the breakout rooms. We're just going to do a really quick debrief. I'd invite any of the breakout room facilitators to let us know any key themes that you've that emerged during your discussion. I can go first. You know, when working in programs to serve older Rhode Islanders, transportation is always an issue. That's something that came up. And then Jack with the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program talked about this balance between modernization, and sometimes that's, you know, people who are giving you funding for the program, administering the program, there's a push to modernize things, but especially with older Rhode Islanders, that might have to be balanced with if it's actually serving the customer well. Another issue that came up a lot is just, you know, providing culturally appropriate food, and also providing cooking skills if someone's not used to processing a butternut squash. You know, a really great partnership is the SNAP-Ed program, delivering recipes and cooking tips in those boxes for the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition boxes. Is there any other breakout room note takers that would like to share any key themes that came up? We have Julie and Mariana and Shelby.
Yeah, Caitlin, I'll jump in. So we had a really great discussion. I thought transportation came up, regulations came up, and communication. You know, there's a lot of services out there. There's so many lists, but they're not necessarily centralized or updated. And just making sure that we're all kind of filling the gaps. So one example came up that a food pantry, for instance, can't receive pre-made meals to donate because of their food safety regulations. But we know there's other organizations in the state, like Means Database or Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, that can. And so just being able to have that strong referral network and strengthen communication, I think, between partners as well as between organizations and customers.
Yeah, that came up too in my session, just communication, because a lot of people are doing great things, but it's sometimes you don't even know what's going on in the next town over. Shelby, would you like to share any key takeaways?
Yeah, sure. So we had a lot of different, types of organizations represented in our breakout group. So it was, all different kinds of challenges that was interesting. Things from fundraising and transportation, and then also, working with the state and legislation and really making sure that things that are being discussed in these types of conversations and these task forces are actually being implemented outside in the world. And sort of how can we, make more action items sort of get to that next step.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
Nessa, did you have any different takeaways in your discussion?
I would just reemphasize the point about delivery. That was a theme that came up across different speakers in our breakout session, whether it was someone working in a particular community trying to figure out how to weave together different sources that were available at different times and days to have consistent food availability for seniors, or just kind of an overarching need to to centralize services around food delivery, whether it's emergency or supplemental food delivery.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nessa. Mariana, would you like to go next?
Sure, yeah. our group, some of the main challenges we talked about was transportation was really big, as well as just funding. We also talked about generally just like the rising cost of food, as well as just like providing some of that more one-on-one support. In the context, Julia's from Sankofa was in our group, talking about just like educational programs, but then also in terms of supporting seniors in filling out applications for food assistance programs, so something that other members also cited.
Awesome, thank you so much. Erin, would you like to discuss some key issues that came up in your?
I think I would definitely echo what everyone else has said. I think it was the group really appreciated having the opportunity to chat with one another, and some folks had some follow-up questions for Chris and his program at DEM. So he did put his email address in the chat. If anyone else has some follow-up questions, you feel free to reach out to him. And really just planning ahead and thinking, you know, after 2025, where are we going to be? What resources do we need? And as we plan ahead, really making sure that we're doing it in a comprehensive way, not just at the state level, but also getting down to the community level and the organizations that are servicing our older adults. So yeah, I think that's about it. Transportation, delivery, access, 100%. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Did anybody have any other questions or things they want to bring up that happened during the meeting, or any other issues they think should be tackled in a future meeting or in one of the working groups that they wanted to share before we close? Okay, so let me just make sure nobody has their hand raised, right? All right. Okay, so to close this out, we are going to do this really fun tool. I don't know if anybody has done it in another meeting before, but it's called Mentimeter, and it's just basically a word cloud. So we're going to ask one question, and Allie's going to share the Mentimeter link in chat. And Allie, you have the right link. That's correct. Thank you. So if you click that link, and then you enter the answer to the question, which is name one thing besides unlimited money that would help you improve food access for older Rhode Islanders. You can enter that, and we can kind of see what comes up. And I'm going to share my screen, so we should see those answers start populating. Perfect. We have free grocery delivery and free delivery services, transportation, more staff, larger facility.
To see Carrie's comment in the chat about more coordinated policy efforts.
All right.
This is really cool.
And so
yeah. Good one, Kim. Evaluation.
Yeah, these are really fun, but they're also the Food Policy Council and the Hunger Elimination Task Force. We will use these, to identify key themes that are coming out of the meeting and making sure we lift that up.
Caitlin, will we also be able to share out the results, what everybody said, in the notes that we send out after this meeting?
Yeah, definitely. I love that idea.
Great.
I love one-stop shop referral. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, that was a great suggestion, whoever threw that in there. I love to see that there's a lot of similar entries. I feel like that is a good sign about where everyone's at as far as where we're trying to get things and what people recognize are gaps or opportunities.
Yeah. And I think most people on the call will know this, but the Rhode Island Food Policy Council did a pilot study for free grocery delivery in partnership with Cartwheel RI. And part of the pilot was people could order groceries online with their EBT card and get delivered to their house, not have to pay for that delivery fee with their SNAP dollars, which was well received, and it's something that we're advocating for in the future. And there's Nessa, stop me if I'm misquoting anything. But there is federal legislation to improve online SNAP, and that's definitely something we're trying to provide input on. Is, you know, there should be a phone line to take over the phone orders, not just expect everybody to be able to order online. And Jem is running a phone line for older adults to call for help signing up for SNAP, dealing with issues, as well as taking food orders for delivery. And that also includes having a multilingual person be able to take grocery deliveries. And thank you, Allie. So the sponsors of that program are Center for Science and Public Interest, Test Health, and Cartwheel. Yeah, people are bringing up community connections. That came up in our discussion group. Was, you know, combining food access efforts with farmers markets and you know, opportunities for interaction with people. I believe Kim Gans talked about a program where nutrition education was led by students, which I thought was really great. So with if you've entered your answer into the Mentimeter tool, I guess we could close the meeting. Allie, Allie and Nessa, are there any official ceremony closing thing that I forgot to do?
Caitlin, I think you did a great job facilitating your first hunger elimination task force. Thank you so much. And really appreciate everybody's participation today. We will get the notes out to you as soon as we can. We do an analysis of the breakout room, so it takes a little bit longer than regular meeting notes, but we hope that you will get a lot more out of having a little bit of analysis done across the different breakout rooms. And just really appreciate all of you spending a little bit of your afternoon with us. Just one more plug for our network survey. Allie, if you could put the link in there one more time. And other than that, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm going to stay, Allie, and watch this Mentimeter thing because it's like mesmerizing for a few minutes.
Yeah, we can stay till everybody exits. That's totally good. I didn't know if you wanted to take some time to debrief or
yeah, that would be fun.
Plan some follow-up while we have this opportunity.
I counted 50 people. Did it get higher than that?
I didn't do any counting. I'm going to go on to the Zoom appointment and then pull the spreadsheet of attendees afterward. So we'll have everybody's name and how long they were logged in for and all of that kind of stuff. But I'll stop recording now if that's okay.
Yes, please.